Hey everyone, today I have Archie's Parables from Spire Christian Comics. This is a unusual Archie comic because it's a religious propaganda comic. Yes, really. So let's open it up. Actually, you know what? Let's appreciate the artwork on the cover because the artwork is truly one of the best things about these Archie religious comics. And so the first comic story, there's a few different stories in this comic. The first one is Nights and Days. Now, initially, I thought this was supposed to be the characters at a Renaissance fair or something, but no, they're actually supposed to be knights in medieval Europe or something. Archie sees a sign, "Wanted, whoever slays yon dragon will win the hand of the royal princess Veronica." And so here we see Reggie suiting up in his fancy armor, but Archie, he's just a poor peasant. He can't afford that type of armor, so he decides to improvise and use a trash can that exists in medieval times for some reason. Then Veronica's like, "Father, do you think such a knave could slay a dragon?" "Well, it's possible. When the dragon sees him, he may laugh himself to death." And so Archie takes Jughead along. "Archie, you may win the fair princess, but what do I get out of this deal?" "Dragon steaks." "Dragon steaks? They say they're delicious." And then, yeah, they come across the dragon, and Jughead yells, "Stop! Dragons represent evil!" It, it exists, though, in the context of this story. "Life gets confusing when evil seems attractive." That's right, Jughead just called this thing attractive. I mean, I know he's talking about he wants to eat it, but, like, if it's really evil, would killing and eating it really be that bad? Anyway, Archie offers to pray before the battle starts, and Jughead doesn't seem to understand what good that would do. "Dragons don't listen to prayer, but God does. Lord, there are lots of dragons and bandits bullying this world. Please help us to win out over all of them." And, so then Jughead gets burned by the dragon, even though he was praying before. "That's why I got this fire extinguisher." "The dragon's running away." "That's the way it is with evil. When you stand up to it, it always retreats." "But the dragon's still alive, so you don't win the royal princess?" "Well, us dragon fighters have other compensations." Okay, there, see, he had a girlfriend already, and he was trying to get another... What kind of message is that? Anyway, the last thing is, maybe we can't get rid of all the evil in the world, but we can drive it out of our neighborhood. So the message here is out of sight, out of mind. Which, don't know if that's really the best message you can put forward in a religious comic, but I guess. I'm sure that's not the message they intended, but that's what I'm getting out of it. And so next up we have a Western comic, Showdown at the Little Red Schoolhouse. And so it starts off, this tough guy cowboy here is making fun of Archie. He pulls a gun on Archie, and then Archie reveals that he has a deputy, and it's Moose. And then Jughead runs in, and he's Pronto, Archie's faithful Indian companion. You know what? I'm gonna say this isn't really that offensive. In historical context, Native Americans were referred to as Indians. And also, like, while the getup is stereotypical Native American, but it's not really intentionally offensive. But then we have him saying, "They've got heap big trouble at the school." Okay, that's offensive. Don't have them say heap. And then here we got this infamous page where, yeah, someone decided to go off about evolution in an Archie comic. "Oh, Sheriff, when they took the Bible out of school, more and more problems came in. Now we have books that say we all came from monkeys, and the students are starting to act like it." And I want to pop in and say that evolution does not say humans came from monkeys specifically. It says that humans and monkeys share a common ancestor. At some point in the past, there was some kind of animal life form that split into two separate lines, one being the monkeys, one being us, and then there's also apes and other primates and such things. So yeah, this is a gross oversimplification, and also, who took the Bible out of the school? Especially in the Old West. Wouldn't the Bible have been required in the Old West? Like, Christian denominations were the majority religion, so most likely a Bible would have definitely been in a school. Especially since religion was like something taught in schools in the US back then. As for books on evolution, yeah, there was a bit of a pushback even back then when it came to evolution because people like this were oversimplifying everything and couldn't seem to wrap their heads around it. And anyway, then we see the evolution book. Evolution is for the birds and you, which is actually kind of a clever joke, although I don't think they realized this when they wrote it. Darwin, who came up with the theory of evolution, one of his major points of study was studying the adaptive traits of birds and seeing how different birds adapted to different environments over the years. It was a type of evolution that humans could visibly see, unlike, say, primates, monkeys, humans. You can't really visibly see evolution there with your eyes because it took place over the course of, millions of years or whatever. And the books at the Trading Post just make things worse. Filthy books. Okay, they're clearly labeled filthy books. I think it's safe to say if you're letting your kid buy filthy books or be exposed to filthy books, that's more on you than on the kids. So then Archie goes to Veronica's father, who starts a Christian bookstore, which... why didn't they just do that to begin with? Why would they let all this stuff happen when they clearly weren't... what? Anyway, then Jughead pops in. How about books that will fill them up? You know how I like to eat. And then Archie shows him this thing from the Bible. Jesus says, I am the bread of life. Come to me and you'll never be hungry. Believe in me and you'll never thirst. Archie, you know what he meant. So anyway, next up we got A Tale of Two Planets. Archie and Jughead are in a rocket going to the Testicles planet. Amazing, we're right on course. There's our target, the twin planets. There's life on these planet, Arch, and here it comes. Welcome to our planet. Get lost. Isn't this a beautiful day? I think it stinks. They're all identical twins. They don't act the same. Well, we happy twins live on this planet. And we live on that planet. And once a year we have a family get-together. And today's the day. But how can identical twins be so different? It's easy. We've adopted different lifestyles. Here on this planet, we read the Bible, attend church, and try our best to live God's way. Humph. Who needs churches and Bibles? We live our own way. But these folks seem happy, and you're all hung up. Well, of course. They've got all the flowers, and we've got all the weeds. It's not fair. It looks like they've worked their gardens. Work? We don't work. How can you live without working? Easy, we steal it. Everybody steals on this planet. The jails must be full. No. We don't have jails or laws. We're free to do anything we want. We've got complete freedom and complete equality. We've all got it so bad, nobody could have it any worse. Arch, there's a lesson for us in this trip. I guess, Jug. After you look at all the lifestyles, you've got to come back down to Earth. Alright then. Not really any kind of conclusion there. So next up, Beelzebub's Boo-Boo. What a night to run out of gas. There's a light. Not there, Arch. That place is bad news. It's the only place around, and we need help. They say a mad scientist lives there. Well, maybe he's got some gas? Beg your pardon. Come in, the professor is expecting you. I don't like this way. Welcome, I am Professor Beelzebub. Arch, get the gas and let's get out of here. No need to hurry. I have all kinds of goodies for you. Try one. Try another. Jug, what happened to your fear? Arch, anyone who cooks like this can't be all bad. Ahem, I have a spare room. It's close to the dining room. Would you care to stay? I would. Take him away. He's already my slave. He's not the first one to sell out for a bowl of pottage. This girl wanted riches, This one's hang-up was ego and pride, and I'm glad to give them what their little hearts desire in return for their souls. Now, what can I do for you? Nothing! I'll be leaving! Stop! It's not as simple as that. Once I get a hold of someone, I don't like to let go. You can think things over in here. Psst! Archie! Betty! Am I glad to see you? Get the police! Call out the Marines! Bust me out of this place! It's not that kind of battle, Archie. Nobody else can fight it for you. Muscles aren't involved. It's your heart and your will. Okay, so this guy gave Jughead free food, gave Veronica diamonds or something, and he gave Reggie a bunch of stuff, and okay, that's not really the problem. The problem is he's locking people up in a castle. Metaphors are just really hard for me to understand sometimes like this. Especially, like, I don't know, they're in this story, the context of the story just doesn't really, I don't know. Okay, Archie, I offer you freedom to really live it up. That's not freedom, Archie, it's slavery. I've arranged a nice party for you. Wouldn't you say it's worth a man's soul? I don't like your games, Beelzebub. Don't be a square. I control most of the world already. You haven't got a chance. If God is on my side, who can be against me? Ha! God's way out there, and you're here in my clutches. Out of my way, Beelzebub. I want to see things God's way, not man's way. And then a lightning strikes. That was a miracle, Betty. Miracles and faith go together, Archie. It's amazing. God can destroy the prison walls we build. Alright then. Okay, and next up we have a really pointless story about Jonathan Siblington Pelican. Okay, so we have a pelican who does a bunch of wacky stuff until one day he, like, falls in front of their car, and then they all treat him well. Then they take him to some other pelicans where he proceeds to proselytize and turn all the pelicans Christian. Yes, really, I don't get it. Like, I know, I get it, it's a parable, but this will be kind of undone by the end of the comic, unfortunately. So next up, 11 o'clock high, and, okay, we have Mr. Weatherby is a not, yeah, one of those guys. This is real. Somebody made this. Alert! It's another air raid! I don't know how much more of this our men can take. Okay, and this is kind of a funny visual. This is the heaviest stuff the enemy has dropped, and it's a TV, golf clubs, oars, baseball, basketball, football, tennis racket. We'll count the casualties and the deserters on Sunday. And so then they're all in church. Look at all the troops that are missing. Archie, this is a losing battle. The Lord says don't be paralyzed by the enemy. For the battle is not yours, but God's. Go out and attack the enemy. Up here, it's hard to believe we're really at war. We can't relax. The enemy has lots of tricks up his sleeve. Achtung, der Sopwith is coming, up mit der barrage balloons. Okay, Look, Arch, that's what's keeping our side from winning. And here's a doozy of a panel. What a lot of hot air, and we have a bunch of blimps with messages on them. Sermons turn me off. Well, that's kind of an opinion. TV beats church. Well, I mean, again, opinion. They have televised church sermons. The Bible isn't relevant. Well, not everybody in the world follows the Bible, and other parts of the world that don't follow the Bible seem to have done just well, like Asia. Church is okay for some people, but not for me. Again, opinion. I can worship God in my own backyard. That's true. You can worship however you feel. As long as it's not hurting anyone or inconveniencing anyone and it makes you feel better and it empowers you, that's fine. Sunday is my only day to sleep in. And again, if you consider, like, being relaxed and rested more important than being religious, that's a valid choice to make. You don't have to be Christian. Churches are full of hypocrites. Okay, this is kind of a blanket statement that doesn't apply to everywhere. Not all churches are full of hypocrites. There are definitely churches out there that are hypocritical and care more about making money than any kind of message of humanity. And then the music's a drag. Okay, well, that's just opinion. Again, I don't like a lot of religious music either. We deflated every lie, Jug. Now they're sending up flack. Okay, some of the wordplay here is actually kind of funny. And so then they drop a Jesus fish on them, which, I feel is kind of a bizarre choice of metaphor, since, Jesus is usually meant to represent peace, not, dropping a bomb. Every day you hear what the enemy says about God. Why not take an hour on Sunday to hear God's side? You may try a few churches before you find where God wants you to be. Which, I understand the message here, but also it reminds me of, what some people in cults have said. Like, I know this isn't trying to endorse cults, but Jesus used parables to express truth. So do we. The dragons we fight today are a lot different than fairy tale models, unlike in our story where the dragon was real. Every day, someone else sells out to Beelzebub. What do you mean selling out? They weren't really selling anything. He just gave them stuff, and they're like, okay, cool, thanks. There are some who live in worlds of love, and some who live in worlds of hate, and we have the little love-hate aliens there. And there's the bookstore that probably they should have just had from the beginning. What you read does determine what you think, and what you are. Of course, Christianity is not for the birds, which is kind of ironic when the whole point of that story was, the bird became Christian. Like, am I taking it far too literally? Because I sometimes do that. And it's time for God's people to go on the offensive. God loves you. He wants you to be a winner. Trust God, and you'll mount up with wings like eagles. Alright, so, yeah, there's Archie's Parables. And in the end, I understand what they were going for with this comic, and I can totally understand why some kids out there, people may have found this empowering, but it's also, yeah, it's definitely dated. It does not fit a modern mindset. There's a lot in this that was written with an extremely heavy Christianity bias, pretty much saying that anything outside of Christianity is wrong, and that's just not true. Other religions are perfectly valid as Christianity. Even not having religion at all is just as valid as Christianity. It's fine. We're all people, and I don't know, maybe this is just the humanist in me talking, but I don't really like this kind of messaging. I think it's a bit harmful to grow up with this kind of messaging and disregarding everything else that the world has to offer in terms of religions and belief systems and things like that. Overall, though, I understand what this comic was going for. I just think it was extremely misguided. But the artwork is really good. The stories are mostly kind of pointless. They don't really have a conclusion. They don't really make sense, but again, like parables. So yeah, there's Archie's Parables, and I'll be covering some of the other Archie Spire Christian comics, as well as some other Archie comics, non-religious themed, later on. So that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya.